Hey guys, Demon here, just doing the intro. Just want to say I hope you enjoy this video, because I know I'll be watching it next to you, and I'll enjoy it. Hey guys, Demon here, and today we're going to look at 26 old TV shows that should be brought back. And there's three ways I think these TV shows can be brought back. The first way is obviously a reboot, just remaking the show. I know that majority of reboots nowadays, and even the older days, the majority of reboots kind of suck. But hopefully, these shows, if they brought them back reboot style, they can make them better. And the second way is obviously another season of the old show that we never got a second season on, or a third season on, or just another season in general. That would be pretty cool. I would enjoy that, kind of like Kung Fu Jack, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm getting to it. But Kung Fu Jack's not on this list because he already had another season, and neither is Hey Arnold because he had a movie, even though he hasn't had another season or anything like that. I'm going to watch both of those, by the way. But they're not on this list, but kind of like Kung Fu Jack, like another season, or a reboot. And then the third way is a spinoff. Like the characters in the future, or maybe the characters in the past, or whatever. I want to see one of these three things for all 26 of these, all 26 of these old shows. And hopefully, if they do remake these shows, they will do it right. And if they do give them another season, they will do it right too. And obviously, if they do a spinoff, they'll do it right. So, anyways, let's get into these old shows that I personally would want to see come back. So, at number 26, The Wild Thornberrys. I don't know why this show would come back, but if it did, I would assume they'd probably just remake it, not do another season or a spinoff, although I guess they could do a spinoff. But I assume they would just remake this show. I don't really have any reasons for this show to come back. Personally, I didn't really like The Wild Thornberrys, but I know a lot of people who did. So I can see a lot of people enjoying this if it did come back. Personally, I probably wouldn't watch it as much as other people would. I'd probably check out a couple episodes. But that's pretty much it on this one. The Wild Thornberrys. I know a lot of people that did like this and probably would enjoy it if it did come back. Especially if they remade it right and not horrible. Okay, so 25. 25 is The Proud Family. This show is another show I don't know if I'd personally watch. I'd probably check out a few episodes. Because The Proud Family is mainly like a Disney comedy comedy show. And it was pretty interesting. But I would like to see this one come back because this one, I guess it's like diverse more. It's more diverse. A lot of shows nowadays don't have that much diversity, but this one did have it didn't have I guess not like full diversity, but it was like about like a black family and stuff. And it was a pretty good show. So I wouldn't mind seeing this show come back. Personally, I probably wouldn't watch it, but I probably would check out a few episodes here and there. And this show, they'd probably have to redo it. Although I could see a spinoff or another season to it. But I think they'd probably have to redo this show. As long as they did it good, it'd probably be pretty good. Okay, so the next one is 24. So, 24 is Rugrats. Now, this is a show from my childhood, and I really enjoyed it. I've watched pretty much the whole series, plus the movies. And I have watched some of the spin-off, what was it called? All Grown Up, I think it was. I have watched some of that. I didn't really enjoy that much. It wasn't that good. But if they brought the Rugrats back, I'm pretty sure they would probably bring it back in the sense of remaking it. But the Rugrats was a really good show, and I think it's really good for kids. If they bring it back, it'd be really good for kids. Personally, this is another one that I don't know if I would watch it, but I know that a lot of kids would watch it because this is a good show. It was a good show when I was a kid. It'd probably be a good show when they're a kid. As long as they remade it good and not bad. But yeah, the Rugrats is something that I would enjoy seeing again. Probably not another spin-off because the last spin-off they had sucked. But the Rugrats, pretty good show, and I would enjoy seeing it. So number 20. So 23 is Recess. Now this is another show that I used to watch as a kid. I think it has a movie as well. But I used to enjoy this show, and it finally ended when I think they moved up a grade, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly how it ended, but I think they moved up a grade. But this show used to be really good. It's another show that I probably personally wouldn't watch. I'd probably check out a few episodes, just like the other shows. I'd probably check out a few episodes. But I think this would be really cool for kids nowadays, especially if they changed it to more recent times. Because they'd probably have to remake this. I guess they could do a second season where they're in the other grade. But they probably have to remake this. And they could, mold it for kids nowadays and not kids back in, the early 2000s or 90s or something like that. Because that's what this show was for. But they could, make it for kids nowadays. So that'd be pretty interesting to see. Anyways. Number 22. Number 22 is Tom and Jerry. This show is pretty old, and I gotta say, I did like this show. It's about a mouse and a cat. The cat chases the mouse, but the mouse always gets away. It's kind of like Bugs Bunny and Tweety it reminds me of, and also it reminds me of Animaniacs. But this show was just about a mouse and a cat, and sometimes there's other characters. The cat's always chasing the mouse, although sometimes they do work together against bad guys and stuff like that. But this show is really good, and I can see them remaking this show. I doubt they'd give it another season, but I can see them rebooting this show, remaking it. And I think a lot of kids would like this, because Tom and Jerry was a really funny show and really good. Personally, I don't know if I'd watch it again. I'd probably watch a couple episodes, but I think this show would be really good for kids nowadays. It was just funny back then. It was just slapstick humor, Funny then, funny now. Definitely a show that I think should be brought back. Let's move on to 21. 21 is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. This show I haven't watched as much as the other shows, to be honest, but I did watch it a little bit, and I gotta say, it was a pretty good show. Again, I don't know if I'd watch this show personally, but I'd probably check out a few episodes, just like I would have every other show if they ever remade these shows. And I would think they'd probably remake this one and not give it another season or a spin-off. They'd probably remake it, although I wouldn't mind another season or a spin-off of this show. As long as they made it good, it'd be fine. But yeah, this show was pretty good for the time. Still holds up for today. And I wouldn't mind re-seeing this, and I think a lot of people would love to re-see this. As long as they did it good. But anyways, let's move on to 20. Okay, so number 20 is Ed, Edd, and Eddy. This show was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. It was pretty funny. And if they remade it, I doubt they'd make a spin-off or a season, like another season. They'd probably just remake it in the sense as reboot it. Although I don't know if kids nowadays watch it. It didn't have the best humor, so it might suck if they remade it nowadays. But if they did, I hope they would keep to the original plot and stuff, the original thoughts on this thing, and made it really good. Because I did like this movie. I'd probably watch this. If it was good, I'd probably watch every episode. But if it was bad, I'd probably just watch a couple episodes. But this was a really good one. Ed, Edd, and Eddy was just a really funny show. And I wouldn't mind seeing it come back. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Let's move on to number 19. So, 19 is My Life as a Teenage Robot. This show, it's kind of it kind of reminds me of Foster Home of Imaginary Friends, because it has the same art style. Obviously, it's a totally different thing. I put it above Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends because it's a pretty good show. I really did like this show in the past, to be honest. It had a good premise and stuff like that. It had good episodes. And it had some really action-packed episodes. I can really see them remaking this show. I don't know if I could see them remaking a season of it. Although I would like that, or remake, or like making a spin-off of it. I don't know what they would spin off of it, to be honest. But I could really see them rebooting this show and remaking it, because it had an interesting premise. It had really good episodes, or at least a lot of them, not all of them. A lot of them are really good. And I would enjoy seeing this show, and if it ever came out, I'd probably watch the majority of the episodes, to be honest, if it was good. But yeah, I would really enjoy seeing this show again come out, most likely in a reboot fashion, but I wouldn't mind seeing another season of the old show. But anyways, let's move on to 18. So, 18 is Animaniacs. This was kind of like the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show, but I know they have remade the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show in at least a fashion they remade it. That's why I didn't include Bugs Bunny and Tweety on this list. But they haven't remade the Animaniacs, and the Animaniacs were really good, in my opinion. They had Dot... I forgot the rest of the characters. But they had, like, Evil Scientist... the little girl that's just like, okay, puppy, all the time, because the dog always saves her from bad stuff. And they had the squirrels. I forgot who those were. And also, a property of Animaniacs is Pinky and the Brain, which was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. Pinky and the Brain is just hilarious and awesome. If they ever remade this, I'm pretty sure they'd probably remake it in like a reboot style. But I would hope they would bring back two shows. I hope they would bring back Animaniacs, because I wouldn't mind to see Animaniacs again. Again, I probably wouldn't watch every episode, but I'd probably watch a lot of episodes if they made it good and like it used to be. But I would definitely watch every episode if it was good of Pinky and the Brain, because I love Pinky and the Brain. And if they brought it back and made it good, I would probably love it once again. But anyways, that is number 18. I wish they would bring back Animaniacs, especially Pinky and the Brain, because Pinky and the Brain, one of my favorite shows. I would watch that thing. I just love that show. But anyways, let's move on to number 17. So, number 17 is Kids Next Door. To be honest, I didn't really watch this show too much, but I did see a lot of episodes, I guess. So I guess I did watch it, but I didn't watch it as much as I watched other shows in this list. The reason why I say I want them to bring this back, it isn't a reboot I want them to bring back or a spin-off, but it's another season, because in, I think it was a promo art or something like that, the next season after the one that got canceled was them in space, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be pretty cool, and I think a lot of people want to see that. A lot of people that used to watch the show want to see that. So that would be pretty cool to see, because I didn't mind Kids Next Door. It was pretty good at the time. It was pretty funny. But if they made the other season, I'd probably watch a lot of it. I might watch all of it. I might watch some of it, who knows. But I'd probably watch it because it looked pretty damn interesting to see, to say the least. I'd want them to make another season, not a reboot of this one. But anyways, that's my take on Kids Next Door, number 17. I definitely want them to make another season and not a reboot or a spinoff. But yeah, anyways, let's move on to number 16. Number 16 is Johnny Bravo. What can I say? Who doesn't want to see Johnny Bravo again? He's a sexist asshole and a pig, but he's goddamn funny. Johnny Bravo was probably one of my more favorite shows. And it was freaking funny, man. It's a freaking funny show. Just this weak kid that worked himself up to being this tough guy. But when he became tough, he became a fucking prick. So most people just like, screw off, guy. All the girls that he tries to go out with pretty much slap him in the face. The only one that likes him is that little girl that he can't touch because she's a child. Although I think he did say once that she could come back to him when she was 18. I think he said that once, which is messed up. But anyways, Johnny Bravo, freaking hilarious. I love that show. If they remade it, I think they'd probably make another season or probably a reboot in general. I don't think they would do a spinoff. But if they remade it and they remade it good, I could see me watching that again because that show was freaking hilarious. Although to be honest, in today's climate with all the PC stuff, I don't know if they would remake it, and if they did remake it, I don't know if it would be ever the same because a lot of people nowadays are just like, you can't do that, you can't say that on TV and stuff. But if they did remake it, I would like to see the old style because Johnny Bravo was freaking hilarious. Anyways, number 15. So number 15 and number 14 are two things that I think personally weren't recognized at the time. And I think a lot of other people think they weren't recognized at the time. At least number 15. I don't know if people thought number 14 wasn't recognized at the time. I'm pretty sure these ones only got one season each. I know number 14 did. I don't know about number 15. But number 15 is Gargoyles. So Gargoyles, really good show. It's kind of dark. And I really want to see them either remake this or bring back another season. But this time I want to see them do it adult themed, kind of like they did with Kung Fu Jack. Because Gargoyles was always a dark show, and it would be really cool to see it, but this time more like adult themed. It only got one season, I'm pretty sure. But it was a really good show. Definitely a good show. Definitely something they should bring back. And make it more adult themed this time, hopefully. Let's move on to number 14. So, number 14's kind of like Gargoyles, but a little bit different. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Cyber 6. I used to watch this show when I was a kid, more than Gargoyles, to be honest. And Cyber 6 was a very good show. It did have one season, and at the end of the season, it had a cliffhanger. And it never got another season. I don't know if it has books or anything like that, but I know it doesn't have another season. So I would love to see another season of this, and I wouldn't mind to see it more adult-themed. Again, like Gargoyles or Kung Fu Jack, I wouldn't mind seeing them bring it back more adult-themed. Because Cyber 6 was a freaking great show. I think it's one of the lesser-known shows. So if you want to check it out, go check it out, because it is a fantastic show. At least in my personal opinion, it's a fantastic show. It's called Cyber 6, and man, oh man, is it a good show. It's about this girl who's a guy who has like an alter ego that's a guy, and she has a partner sort of that helps her fight crime, but also is in love with her. It's pretty interesting, and I would love to see another season of that. Or if they remade it, I'd love it if they remade it too, but they would have to make it good and not bad. But I would like to see it more adult themed. It was definitely a good show. The animation and the art on it, though, a little bit lackluster, but it was a good show. Anyways, number 13. So, number 13 is Ren and Stimpy. This show was, I don't know if it was always like aimed for adults, I think. I'm pretty sure a few kids watched it, because I watched it when I was a kid. But Ren and Stimpy was one of the best shows, man. It had gross out humor. I know a lot of people don't like that, but the gross out humor on Ren and Stimpy was done right. And it was just a really good show. It was about a cat. I'm pretty sure Ren was a cat. And, was Stimpy the cat? Okay, one was a cat and one was a chihuahua. I'm pretty sure they were a cat and chihuahua. But anyways, it was a really good show. It had gross out humor, but the gross out humor was done really well. And it was always meant for adults, I think. But I do think it showed on Kids Network sometimes. But it was a really good show, and I would love to see them bring this back for another season or a spin-off or even a reboot, as long as they got it right. Similar animation and stuff like that. Definitely, like, maybe on Adult Swim or Fox or something like that. I could see them bringing it back on. But Ren and Stimpy, one of the good shows, man. One of the good shows. Just bring that back, and I would love to watch that. I would just love to watch it again. Anyways, number 12. Hey guys, just reminding you to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and all that good stuff. Watch my other content too. Now back to the show. Number 12 is Reboot. I know I've been saying they could reboot these shows, but number 12 is the actual cartoon called Reboot. But this cartoon I used to love watching when I was a kid. It was about these characters that went into a cube that was a game. And there used to be an annoying guy on there. It was a kid, but then he got sucked into the game and he became an adult and he was awesome. But yeah, Reboot was always just this really awesome thing. It had lots of plot lines and it had just lots of story. And the stories were always really good, or mostly good. Some of them might be a little bit lackluster. It had two villains. I forgot their names. One wore a mask and one was like this big black thing. And they were all kind of just like 3D animated sort of thing. So it was really cool for a time. I think they could remake this or do another season of this and make it really cool for this period of time. Maybe remake it into more of an adult themed because it always had more adult themes to it, but it was shown for kids. But I think if they remade this, they can make it more of an adult themed. I don't remember exactly how it ended, so I don't know if it could have another season to it. But I think if they remade this, it'd look really cool for, like, nowadays they can make it look really cool. They could follow the same plot lines and stuff, because Reboot was just one of those shows that was freaking fantastic. At least the way I remembered. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at this in nostalgia glasses. But it was one of those fantastic shows. Definitely watch it if you want to watch it. Anyways, let's move on to number 12. I'm at number 11. We were on number 12. So, number 11. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Bill and Mandy. No, it's Billy and Mandy. It's Billy and Mandy. This show I used to watch a lot when I was a kid. And it did have a crossover with Kids Next Door, if I'm not mistaken. But Bill and Mandy were these two kids that found the Grim Reaper. And shenanigans ensued, obviously. It was a freaking great show. It had some terrific humor. Terrific humor? Yeah. Terrific humor. That just sounds weird when I say it. I'm pretty sure it's humor, right? Yeah, it's humor. But anyways, it was a great show. It was just this about these characters and stuff, like the Grim Reaper. And yet he had to falter to these two kids that were controlling him pretty much. And Mandy was eviler than him. It was pretty funny. And Billy was a freaking moron. So it worked out really good. And it was just freaking hilarious. I would love to see them reboot this or give it another season or something like that. Because this show was freaking hilarious. As long as they did it good, I think they could really make this show again and make it really good. Anyways, that's about all I have to say about that one. Let's move on to number 10. So, before we get into number 10 and number 9, we're going to go into a few other live action shows because number 10 and number 9 are the only live action shows I have on this list. We're going to go into a few other ones that I don't think should be brought back, mostly because number 10 and number 9 could be brought back because they're different, and I'll explain why when we get to them. But these shows I really did enjoy when I was younger, and I think if they ever brought them back, they'd have to do different actors and stuff like that, so they probably wouldn't work that well, which sucks. But if they ever did brought these shows back, they might be able to do it properly. It's about a 50-50 chance they'll be able to do it properly. But these are only a few shows out of many shows that I've seen before. Just many shows that I've seen before, man. These are only a few out of many old live-action shows that I used to love. I don't think they could ever bring them back because, again, they'd have to do new actors and stuff like that. But number 10, number 9, you'll understand why they can bring those back. So the first one, we're just going to list through these shows that they can't bring back. Only a few of them, because there's too many to list. But the first one is Fries With That. That's an old one. Really old. The second one is Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That one also had a cartoon, actually, but, you know, it doesn't anymore. It doesn't have a cartoon anymore, and it's not even a live action show anymore. I always liked the live action show more than the cartoon, to be honest. But the cartoon was okay, so I guess they could bring that back. But yeah, Fries with that, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, 15 Love was another one. That's a really old show, but I really enjoyed that show. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, again, that's a really old show. I would love to see that one come back. And on extension of that one, maybe Angel, because that was a spinoff of that show. But they couldn't bring these back because, you know, they'd have to do different actors, and I don't know how good they would work with different actors. Another one is Drake and Josh. Again, a good one that should be brought back, but different actors, so I don't know. Ned's Declassified, I could see them doing a spinoff of this. I heard they might do a spinoff for college, but they never did. But that was a good show. I would have loved to see the college one, but they never did, or the high school one, or whatever it was. Never brought that back, and I don't think they should because they have to do different actors. But maybe they could do different actors for nowadays climate, so maybe that one's okay. That 70s Show, again, they'd have to do different actors, but that 70s Show is freaking hilarious. And Mad TV is actually something I did a little bit of research on, and it turns out that they did bring this show back in 2016. I don't know if they have any more like recent, like 2017, 2018 episodes, but they did bring this show back in 2016. I have watched a couple of clips from it, and it seems pretty funny. But again, it's never going to be as funny as the original one. But again, they did bring it back, and maybe it's good, and maybe they're still going. I don't think they're still going though, but it's fairly good. But then again, it's not going to be as good as the original one because it doesn't have the original cast. But anyway, those are just a few shows, live action shows that I think were awesome, that I think they can't bring back because, again, they'd have to change all the actors and stuff, and it might suck. Although, I will say, all these shows could suck because I could just be looking back at them with nostalgia glasses. So these shows could really suck. Especially the Fries with That and 15 Love. Those are a little bit obscure shows, but those could suck a lot. I don't think they do, but they could. Because they're pretty old, and I used to watch them when I was younger. But anyways, if you're the one watching these shows, just look them up, by the way. But anyways, let's move on to number 10 for real this time. Almost forgot to mention Tales of a Crypt Keeper. Tales of the Crypt Keeper? Anyways, this live action show was pretty damn awesome. It also had a cartoon. I would also love to see this one again, but again, live action, a little bit iffy there. Anyways, on to number 10. So, number 10 and number 9, they're kind of interchangeable, to be honest, because they're basically the same thing. Someone's dying outside my room. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. But anyways, these number 10 and number 9 are kind of interchangeable. And these are the only ones I put on this list for certain reasons is because they wouldn't have to change the cast members. Because number 10 is Are You Afraid of the Dark? And this never really had a main cast. It just had a bunch of kids around a campfire, and they would always like interchange them and stuff like that. And it was just mainly about scary stories. So I'd love to see this brought back. I know that they have done similar things to Are You Afraid of the Dark in like the future, but none of them ever got as good as Are You Afraid of the Dark, except for maybe number 9, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So Are You Afraid of the Dark was just a bunch of amalgamations of scary stories, and I really enjoyed it. And I think if they brought this back and did it right, they could definitely just have Are You Afraid of the Dark again, and we could see all these scary stories again, and it's a really good show, man. It's a really good show. As long as they did it properly, and they had really scary stories. I could see them doing it even better now because of the technology that we have nowadays. But anyways, number 9. So number 9 and number 10 are interchangeable, as I already said. And number 9 is Goosebumps. This is a show that I really watched when I was a kid. Again, another scary story show. But this time it's all about Goosebumps. And I know Goosebumps had a movie, and I did like the movie. But the TV show was 10 times better. And nowadays, they could probably make it even better with the technology that we have and stuff like that. And they could probably just make all these things just come back to life. And it'd be really interesting to see Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark. These two shows were some of the best scary shows when I was a kid. Maybe nowadays standards, they're not as good as they used to be, but when I was a kid, I loved these shows, and I would love to see them again, rebooted probably, because that's what they'd have to do. But these two shows are the only two live action shows I put on here because they don't really have a main cast, they have like separate things. Main casts are a little bit tricky to replace, so these two shows don't have a main cast. They could just remake these stories. And they were really interesting. Anyways, let's move on to number 8. So number 8 is X-Men. I know this one has been brought back in multiple installments, but the ones I'm talking about are the main two ones I'm talking about is X-Men Evolution and X-Men, I don't know what it's called, but I do know it's from the 1990s. I think 1992 if I'm not mistaken. These two X-Men were my favorite X-Men. X-Men Evolution and the one from 1992 were my favorite freaking X-Men. These X-Men were just awesome X-Men shows, I guess. And I would love to see another X-Men show that follows suit between these two shows. Maybe not exactly like them, but maybe a mixture of both of them. Because the majority of the X-Men shows that have came out recently and stuff like that aren't the best. But these two shows really were some of the best shows I've ever watched in my childhood. The X-Men from 1992, it was long. It had a couple, I think it had like 3 or more seasons. But it was a really good show. I really enjoyed it. And the X-Men Evolution, that was a really good show as well. So if they ever brought back X-Men, I hope to do it right this time because I really enjoy X-Men, man. It's just a really good show. As long as they did it right and they just not made carbon copies, obviously, but if they did something similar to those old shows, I would really enjoy it, and I'd probably watch every episode. I might even review it, I might review some of these things if they ever came out again. But X-Men, it was a good show, at least the two I'm talking about. I hope they bring it back sometime and make it reminisce about the old ones. Anyways, number 7. Number 7, another scary one, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now, I don't know if they would bring this back as a reboot or another season or a spinoff. I don't think they could do a very well spinoff of this, but maybe another season, but probably a reboot completely. Courage the Cowardly Dog was a freaking fan favorite of mine, and a fan favorite of many people. If they ever brought this back properly, I could see a lot of kids nowadays watching this and enjoying the hell of it, and plus a lot of people that used to watch it enjoying the hell of it again. Courage the Cowardly Dog was just one of those good shows. It was funny, and sometimes it was suspenseful, and some characters in there were pretty damn scary, at least when you were a kid. But Courage the Cowardly Dog, man, I wish they'd bring this show back. I love this show. I always have, and I always will, man. Courage the Cowardly Dog. That's about all I have to say about it. I just really wanted to bring this show back, and if they do it properly, I would totally watch every episode because, whew, man. It was a great show for the time, and it would be a great show again as long as they did it properly. Probably a remake, though. Probably not another season, probably a remake. Which I wouldn't mind as long as they did it properly. Anyways, let's move on to number 6. At number 6, we have Clone High. Now, I don't want them to bring this back as a remake or a spinoff. I want them to bring this back with another season because Clone High was one of my favorite shows when I used to watch it. And at the end of the season, they left it on a giant cliffhanger and they never brought it back. and no one ever talked about it again, pretty much. Well, some people talk about it, but Clone High was freaking hilarious. It was a really good show. If you ever heard "flap, flap, flapping my albatross wings," that's where it came from. Or smoking. What was it again? Smoking grapes? No, it's smoking. It's grapes. No, it's grapes, but shriveled raisins. Smoking raisins. You get high off of smoking raisins, man. But Clone High had a really good first season, and then at the end of it, it just was just like, oh, it's a cliffhanger, and the next season's going to start soon, but it never did. I would love to see another season of Clone High just to wrap it all up. I would definitely watch that, and if it did come out, I'd probably like do a review on the first season and then the second season, just because I really loved Clone High, and it really sucked that I never got that second season. It was a really good show, man. But anyways, let's move on to number 5. Bring back Clone High. Number 5, though. And at number 5, we have a show that has already been brought back. Teen Titans. And I know what you're saying. Teen Titans has already been brought back as a reboot as Teen Titans Go. But who wants to watch that atrocious garbage? I'm talking about the original Teen Titans. I don't want a remake because they already did it and screwed it up royally. I don't want a spinoff because they'd probably screw that up royally too. What I want is the freaking final season that we can get, man. We were left on a cliffhanger on that last season. A cliffhanger. It's so freaking stupid. Tara was brought back, and she didn't remember anything, and Beast Boy's just like, oh, Tara, come on. And she's just like, oh, whatever. But we were left on this giant cliffhanger, and it really sucked. The only thing I can say I like about Teen Titans Go is Beast Boy and Raven kind of have like a relationship there, where they kind of like each other. Because I don't know if it was the original comics, but in the comics, at least some of them, Beast Boy and Raven had this like relationship, and I really enjoyed that relationship in the comics. It was this really, really nice relationship, and at the end, they got together. I always wanted to see that in Teen Titans, the original. I wanted to see them finally get together at the end, but they never did. I also wanted to see what's going to happen to Karen stuff, but that never happened. It got canceled, I'm pretty sure. And then they brought back the garbage that they called Teen Titans Go, because little kids like flashy things and lights. But like the true fans, man, I wish we could see another season of that. The only thing I'd correct about it is like, I want Beast Boy and Raven to get together because of the comics, man. If you ever read those comics and if you ever seen them, it was an adorable relationship that had a lot of ups and downs, but at the end, they're just like, let's get together, man. Who cares what's going to happen in the future? I love you, and she loves him. Oh, it was just so adorable. It was so adorable in the comics. Sadly, it wasn't incorporated into the show, and I'm so sad about that. But anyways, the show was awesome, and I would love to see what happens to Tara, to Slade, to Beast Boy, because Beast Boy was getting real serious, man. But then they're like, it's over, we're canceling it, and we're bringing garbage instead. Anyways, this is the one show that I want them to bring back really bad. Or one of them. I guess I want them to bring back all these shows, but this is one of the shows that I want them to bring back really bad, because it was a great show, and I want to see another season, man. I want to see another season. Get rid of that garbage and replace it with this. Anyways, let's move on to number 4. So number 4 is another recent show. I don't think most of these have been recent, but this one's the most recent show on this list, and it is Gravity Falls. Now, I don't want them to make a reboot of this, and I don't even necessarily want them to make another season of this, although I wouldn't mind that. What I do want them to make is perhaps a spin-off of this. Maybe when Mabel and Dipper are older, I want to see what happens in their relationship, what happens if they go back to Gravity Falls, just what happens in general. I really want to see just them older, or maybe another season, but preferably them older. I just want to see another show just off of this that deals with all this weird stuff. Maybe another villain. Maybe Bill comes back. Who knows? I know there's a few books out and stuff like that, but not enough for me, man. I want to see another show, man. I just want to see a show where they're older. I want to see if Mabel ends up with somebody or if Dipper ends up with somebody. I still kind of want Dipper to end up with Wendy, to be honest. I know that's a little weird because of the age difference. But if he's 18, and this new one, he could end up with her. I'm just saying. But yeah, man. I really love that show, man. I really love Gravity Falls. I did a whole review on each episode. If you want to check it out on my channel, there's a link. There's a playlist. I probably won't leave a link to it, but there's a playlist in the playlist section. But Gravity Falls was a really good show, and I wouldn't mind seeing the second third, fourth. Was there 3 or 4? Was there 2 or 3 seasons? I don't know, but whatever. I wouldn't mind seeing a new season, but I also wouldn't mind seeing a jump ahead in the future, kind of sequel to it. Just that'd be really nice to see too. But anyways, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is Kim Possible. I really enjoyed this show, to be honest, and I have recently went back and watched the majority of the episodes, and it still stands up today, man. This show was freaking awesome. Eventually, it did end. I'm glad that it ended and didn't just get canceled, so they did have a proper ending to it, where they were going off to college and stuff like that. So I wouldn't mind seeing another season of this, where they were in college. But then again, if they ever brought this back, I'm pretty sure they would probably bring it back as in a reboot completely. They reboot this whole series, which I wouldn't mind as long as they followed similar plot lines and stuff like that, and they had similar things. I'd probably rewatch it and see all the new stuff in it. I wouldn't mind seeing that if they had similar stuff, and if they did it properly instead of making another Teen Titans Go. Kim Possible Go. Don't make that. Make another Kim Possible as long as you make it properly. But then again, I wouldn't mind seeing another season. But there's one thing I really want to see of Kim Possible is a spinoff. Because Kim Possible ended in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And it's been about, 11 years or so like that. And they were just in high school. And when you finish high school, you're usually around 17, 18 or so. So by this time, they'd probably be in their 30s. Late 20s, early 30s. So I could see them doing a spinoff where Ron and Kim are married at this point. Or, going steady or something like that. And have kids. Or have a kid. And then we could see a show about their new child becoming what they used to be. They used to be world savers, and their new child could become that, and maybe they have this whole agency thing. Because I always saw that as a possibility. When they grow up, they're going to make an agency of superheroes, and they're going to save the world. This agency is going to save the world. I always thought it as a possibility. What weird thing I always thought about with Kim Possible is Kim Possible has a website, yet she needs to get a job by the end, even though she saves the world. And I know that a lot of that she does it for free, obviously, but some of those people that she saves could pay her a little bit. I'm just saying, they could pay her and Ron a little bit, and they could make some money off of that. But whatever, she does it for free, I guess, even if the person's really rich. But anyways, it's a really good show, man. It's a really good show. I really like it. And I would love to see a spin-off of it. I would love to see it in the future where they're married or something like that, and they have a child that's trying to save the world, and see what happens. I'm pretty sure in the future, at least in my personal perspective, I think in the future, they probably made a superhero agency sort of thing. Because Ron's the monkey master and Kim's the world saver, except for at the very end where Ron saves the world. But man, I'd really love to see a spin-off of that, or another season, or something along those lines, because I really enjoyed Kim Possible. I really enjoyed this show. Anyways, let's move on to number 2. So number 2 is an oldie but a goodie. It is Invader Zim. So Invader Zim kind of left off on a shallow note. It didn't get all the season it needed, and it didn't even have a proper ending in my personal opinion. Although I'm pretty sure I heard they were bringing it back in a comic book. But I want another freaking season, man. I don't want them to remake it, although I guess that would be okay if they did it properly. I wouldn't want them to make a sequel, like a spinoff, because it'd probably be like garbage. But I would like to see another season and see what actually happens, man. Because Invader Zim was a really, really good show. It's even above Kim Possible, Gravity Falls, Teen Titans. Because I really liked Invader Zim, man. It had a good premise. It had a good plot line. It had really good episodes. But it got canceled, I'm pretty sure. And it just ended lacklusterly. I really want to see this show again, another season, or remade properly, as long as they remake it properly. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about Invader Zim. Just a really good show. Remake that bitch, man. Remake that bitch. Or give it another season, I should say. Let's move on to number 1. Probably my most favorite show out of all these, and the one I want to see the most. So, number 1 is Dexter's Lab. Now, this show, by the end, it was getting kind of... I think it wasn't as good by the end of the show. But I really want to see them remake this show. I don't know if they would give it another season. I wouldn't mind that. Or a spinoff, I probably would mind that, because it probably wouldn't be a good spinoff. But I would definitely want to see them remake this show, because this show was awesome when I was a kid. Again, I could be looking at this with nostalgia glasses, but this show was freaking awesome. A couple shows after this kind of copied it, like Johnny Test, which was a piece of garbage. And a few other ones, too. Because this was the original, like the OG, just laboratory thing. And it was freaking awesome, man. If you ever compared Johnny Test to this, it'd be like Dexter's Lab kicks Johnny Test in the balls. Because it was an awesome show. Just awesome characters. Dee Dee. Oh man, there's like so much sketches with like references to it and stuff like that, because it's freaking awesome and hilarious. And I bet you a lot of people don't even realize that sketch is referencing it because it's so old. But man, Dexter's Lab was one of the best shows when I was a kid. And I really want to see this show again, man. I really, really want to see this show again. I really want to see them bring it back. I kind of want to see another season, but I wouldn't mind them bringing it back and completely rebooting it and remaking it. As long as they don't make it garbage, I would love to watch it again, and I'd probably review it and everything, because Dexter's Lab, funny show, as long as they don't make it into like a Johnny Cash, like a Johnny... Just a garbage show, man. But Dexter's Lab, ooh man, that's one of my favorites, man. That's one of my favorites. I really love this show, and if they ever brought it back, I'd probably love it again, as long as they did it properly and not make it garbage. But anyways, that is the end. I have a few words to say. So this is the end of my 26 list. Again, I wanted to put more on here, but I couldn't remember all the shows I used to watch. And then when I did remember some of them, I already made the list, and I didn't want to keep on adding stuff onto it. And plus, a lot of the shows I used to watch were live action, and again, live action probably wouldn't work as good as cartoons that they could bring back. But this list is a lot of old shows that I really liked when I was a kid. And when I was like a young teenager and stuff like that. A lot of these shows I liked. I love these shows. I'd love to see them bring them back in the capacity that I already discussed. I really like these shows, man. I really want to see them bring them back. I kind of doubt they will ever bring some of these shows back, but if they did, I'd be like, holy shit, that's awesome. Again, there's way too many shows for me to remember every single one of them, and some of them are fantastic, some of them were garbage, some of them were live action, and you know how I feel about live action shows. I think they're awesome, but if they brought them back, recast them, there's a good chance that it's going to be garbage. And now all these shows could be horrible, and I could just be looking back with a nostalgic lens. And you could go watch these shows and be like, that show sucked. And I could go watch these shows and feel like, holy shit, that show sucked way more than I thought it used to. But if I ever do and they do suck, I'll be like, okay, that show sucked. But if I ever do and I was right, I'd be like, I was right this whole time. I knew it. By the way, if these shows probably will never come back, if they ever do at all. So I would suggest going and watching every single one of these shows. The original show, you probably find half of these on YouTube, and you probably find the rest online, to be honest. You could probably buy them, like DVD sets and stuff like that too. Probably somewhere. I don't know where. Maybe Amazon. But I definitely suggest going and watching all these shows, even the short list of live action shows I gave you. Go watch all of them, the original ones. Because these shows were freaking awesome. Just freaking awesome shows. And I obviously couldn't get all the shows down that I wanted them to remake. But these are the ones that I just thought about, man. These were awesome shows. Definitely go watch them. And as always, my friends, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Stay sane. Peace, my friends.
Oh.